Of Q broadcast, it's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including HBO, Cinemax, and Starz. And the best part, there are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy streaming live TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices at once. Whether you're at home or on the go, Q Broadcast makes sure your entertainment is always at your fingertips. Imagine being able to watch all your favorite channels from anywhere, anytime, without any restrictions. We're talking about thousands of movies, hundreds of TV series, and a huge library of live channels, all in one place. And don't forget video on demand and pay-per-view events. Those are included at no extra cost, so you'll never miss a big event again. Now, take a second and think about your current cable bill. You're probably paying anywhere between $100 and $300 every month, locked into long-term contracts and hit with surprise rate increases. With Q Broadcast, that's a thing of the past. It's just $60 a month. No contracts, no extra fees, no hidden costs, and no price hikes. Why juggle multiple subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, and cable when Q Broadcast gives you everything you need in one convenient package? People everywhere are switching to Q Broadcast, saving money and getting more content than ever before. So, what are you waiting for? Click the link in the description and sign up for Q Broadcast today. Just $60 a month, no contracts, no hidden fees. It's time to take control of your entertainment and start streaming smarter.
We live in a world where men are told it's harmless. It's just entertainment. But let's stop lying to ourselves. Pornography destroys. It weakens your spirit. It dulls your drive. And it robs you of what real intimacy is supposed to be. Every click is a step away from the man you're supposed to be. We can't call ourselves leaders if we are slaves to a screen.
As someone that is prior service, I know all about discipline. And discipline isn't out there, it's within your mind. Porn rewires your brain, weakens your will, wrecks all of your relationships. It doesn't just stay on a screen, it invades your marriage, your confidence, and your actual purpose. As men, if we don't learn to discipline ourselves, we'll be ruled by our impulses. Now, it is time to stand up and take control before this silent war takes more than you're willing to lose.
Real men don't hide in the shadows of shame. We step up and we protect what's ours. We fight for our wives and kids, our own hearts. Twitter isn't just an app, it's a weapon. It's a tool used to break free and start living like the man that you're meant to be. The battle's here and it starts with you. You can stop living in shame and you can break free today.
Of Q broadcast, it's taking the world by storm. People are cutting the cord to their high cable bills and moving away from streaming services like Netflix, Hulu, and others for something better. Q broadcast. For just $60 a month, you'll get access to every channel you could ever want, including HBO, Cinemax, and Starz. And the best part, there are no contracts, no hidden fees, and you're free to cancel anytime. With Q Broadcast, you can enjoy streaming live TV, movies, and top series on up to 5 devices.
Here at the Anomic Age, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon all of us to put our fears first and bow down to government tyranny. Gone are the days of freely leaving your home, working, and social interactions. In exchange for safety, we will trade liberty. At the Anomic Age, we understand. However, just in case you want to get off your knees and stop being a sniveling coward, check out the John Age Project at anomicage.com.
Meet Ann Morrissey, who is here with her daughter, Dareth. Dareth is 17 years old. Mrs. Morrissey, I don't have to tell you that most parents would be extremely depressed if their daughter came home one day looking like this. I assume that was your response: shock, anger, depression? What was it?
I was extremely angry. I really went bananas.
Yeah, how old was she when this happened?
Possibly 13, 14 years old.
We're talking like it's a disease, and
Well,
yeah. How did she explain it to you, Mrs. Morrison?
there was very poor communication until we went into counseling. And it almost broke up our family. But through counseling and Serena, I can understand it better.
What do you understand?
That she feels like she doesn't want to be like everyone else, and she wants to be her own person. And through the dress code and her lifestyle, she's expressing this. It doesn't conform with our rules, but we're learning to cope, and it's a very, very difficult thing. Extremely difficult.
Dareth, let's let you talk for yourself. You're from Long Beach, California.
I just can't handle being like everybody else because that's what everybody else wants, you know. Just because somebody else does something does not mean that I have to do it. You know, I have my own morals and ideals, and I go by them.
Are you drug-free, Dareth?
Yes, I am.
Is this a political statement then? Do you have some misgiving about the society that you see?
Yeah, there's a lot of problems, you know. A lot of the people are really aware of what's going on, you know, and I don't like it, you know. There's a lot of problems.
What?
I don't like the way society is based.
What bothers you? Give us some of the misgivings you have.
The rich, the poor, the people starving, the wars, you know. Why can't, you know, everybody just get along and just live their life?
Here at the Anomic Age, we know that these times of uncertainty are stressful. It is incumbent upon
Propagating truth in a world of lies. You are listening to the John Age Project.
Trust no one. Trust no one. Trust no one.
You found it. You're here. You're headlong down the runaway train that is the Anomic Age, and I am your humble host, John Age, hailing proudly from the coastal plains of the Old North State. I'll be your tour guide this evening as we take a somewhat satirical journey down the path of murder, destruction, mayhem, and the extermination of human life on this planet. A forced march into obsolescence thrust upon us by a global Luciferian death cult of pedophiles. That's exactly what we got going on, folks. Woo! I'm happy to be taking you into the dark side of the AM this evening once again, folks. I gotta say, it feels downright nice out here in the coastal plains of the Old North State. My goodness, I thought we were just going headlong into that hellscape that is summer, which is really just spring, which is more than summer and spring. It's all the same BS really around here. But nevertheless, God has granted us a reprieve. Getting a little Cosby on you. A little reprieve for a few days even. So that's great. Thank you, Lord, because it's a little bit chilly and dare I say nippy outside right now. It's great, man. It's great. Had all kinds of bad weather on Monday, and it's downright chilly today. So thanks. Thanks, God. Never mind that. Let's just get on into it, right? Please check out anomicage.com if you've not already done so. Please like all the likes, subscribe to all the subscriptions. PayPal.me/anomicage, Patreon.com/anomicage as well. What the heck is going on? That's the best way that you can support the show, support me, and, follow everything that I do is right there at anomicage.com. Hopefully you like it because it's nice, new, and I dare say improved. So the new and improved anomicage.com is right there. I'm still not completely satisfied with it, but I'm working on it a little bit here and there. So you got the latest episodes right there. I don't know. One scroll down there in the homepage. We got all the ways you can possibly contact me and Android apps, iPhone apps, the podcast, and so much more right there at anomicage.com. Subscribe to the email, get the free newsletter, and then the usual suspect social media links are down there. Dare I say they aren't all down there. So you're going to have to fish for a little bit of them, and that's easy enough. Just put in John Age or Anomic Age on whatever social media platform you like, and you'll find me, I tell you. Get that mess out of here. Thank you. You'll find me, I tell you. So if you're on Facebook, you can go to Anomic Age and you can follow like the Anomic Age channel. That's pretty much just all show all the time. It's that's it, really. But if you want to kind of get more info, the John Age, I'd suggest following both of them. But the John Age one, it's more just me posting everything and anything that I might find interessante. So there's that. Definitely go to the Twitter. I'm not calling it X. Bugger off. But go to the Twitter and you'll find it there. The stuff you won't see probably on the homepage, and by probably, I mean definitely, you won't find the Brighteon link. Check that out. The Odyssey link. Both of those are great. Check them out. BitChute, Rumble. That's about it. There's probably some vestiges of the Anomic Age on some now somewhat defunct platforms, but that's the mainstay of where you can find me. And give me some love on the YouTube. I think I got like 20 YouTube followers. I'm pretty sure I'm not even visible on YouTube. They've just given me a courtesy channel back just for funsy fun time. You know, they wouldn't let me have any of my subscribers or any of that bull to the jive. So, you know, if you're so inclined, I'm on the YouTube too. Those of you on the YouTube, you can watch me right now live. Patriots Prayer, people, thank you. You guys are kind of on the newer side of things as far as the Anomic Age goes. So thanks to the Patriots Prayer Network and all those fine followers that like to check out my show on the Patriots Prayer feed. So thanks to you too. All right, enough of me yammering, jawing, and otherwise eating up my showtime, just talking. Actually, that's kind of what I'm supposed to do. All right, so the obvious for this evening. I'm going to kind of keep things a little light, folks. I mean, I could go dark side of the force as you can possibly handle, because that's kind of the real me most of the time. But I kind of get on here and I want to go a little bit lighthearted, usually a little bit sardonic and even perhaps sarcastic even, because you have to. Satirical is probably the right word we're using here. I've said this so many times on my social media. I don't know how anybody can get on any platform and do just like the straight bro call, you know, like the news read, like they're covering the most serious events known to man. You know, the AJ stuff, breaking news. We're on the precipice of death and war, destruction, and hellfire escape of death. You know, no, I can't do that. I don't know how anyone can do that, because if you just look out there, it's so blipping retarded. I mean, it's just downright stupid, folks. Every single bit of it is just ridiculous. So, I mean, I could go up here. I could pull a suit and tie from the closet over there and put that on and just give you the hard facts and the news and say everything's breaking and it's not. It's just horse. That's what's up, man. So I'm not going to do that show for you. If you want that show, I'm sure there's other people that do the really serious take on all this, but it ain't me. Oh my goodness. We got some guests coming up too. I'm not going to spoiler alert that for anybody. We got some guests coming up here in a couple weeks. Maybe next week too. We'll just see. But I know we got one in about a week and a half. So we got a guest coming up pretty soon, and it's not going to be what you think it's going to be. So if you're expecting some, really serious deep dive into the politic and the esoteric and Epstein, yeah, go somewhere else. I just don't. Nah, it's just too ridiculous, and ridiculous in just the humorous absurdity of it all. So we ain't doing that. What we are going to get into is just kind of some of the obvious stuff. We'll get into, as it says in the descriptor. If you got the show, there it is. The show arcs, Betrayal. And the whole time I was kind of throwing together the show art for this show, I was kind of humming in my brain the Minor Threat song, Betray. Betray. Because that's the crux of it all, folks. And I was looking at, what was it? A couple weeks ago now, the Hodge twins are getting all kinds of flack, heat, and maybe shrapnel from the cult members about, oh my gosh, they said the quiet part out loud. They said the obvious, that this is the biggest betrayal in history. Del Presidente. I see. Yeah, I'd say so too. Who wouldn't say so, for Pete's sake? But you kind of have to look at this through a wider lens, and that's kind of what we'll get into this evening. So we'll cover all that in a bag of chips, really. I'll kind of go on the lighter side of things and do some comparisons to DJT. And at first I was calling him a shapeshifter, but it's probably a little bit inaccurate. So I changed it up and said trickster spirit, a la the leprechaun for St. Patty's Day. So we'll get into a little bit of that too, just for fun. Because you got to have fun. You got to laugh about this, folks. You can't take all this B to the S this seriously. You'll have a heart attack or something. You don't want that, right? So we'll cover all that this evening. So some of the obvious stuff, just to cover the obvious that I think everybody should know. So if you followed me for a long time, you already know this. But like I said before, the Patriots prayer crowd's kind of the newest crowd to be following me. So, just to clear the air, you know what I mean? El aire claro. I've never been one of these people that bowed before the great Donald John Trump. And I'll say this to anybody. So it's not just the DJT. It's fill in the blank, whoever you want to put in that little category. You could put the military. You could put the police. You could put virtually anything or anybody in that category. But I judge people based on what they're doing, basically at the present. That's kind of how I look at it. So was I happy with DJT when he did some stuff that was on the right side of things? Yeah, of course. I would never get up here and say, well, I've never liked Trump for any reason. Yeah, of course. So I like Trump when he's doing good stuff. Sure, that makes perfect sense. Like I like the police when they are not just ticketing people for stupid traffic violations, but I like the police when they're actually catching criminals and doing the right thing. Duh. Love and respect to the military when they're not blindly following orders. So I'm never a fan of anybody just blindly following orders. I mean, I've been heavily critical of the just following orders brigade, as I've called them from the jump. So you can look in my drawers and closet and fact check me on any episode of this show that I've ever flipping done. I've never had a 45 nor 47 hat. Never had the Make America Great Again hat. Don't own any Donald John Trump shirts. That just ain't me, folks. So I've never been one just to fall in line with anything nor anyone at any time. So that's just so you know. So again, that ain't me. I'll give you flowers when you're doing good, and I'll give you something else when you're not. That's just how it is, man. And I try to keep people and judge people rather on their current self, you know? So I always say this, man, like everybody has hopefully adapted and overcome. Everybody has changed, you know. The old David Bowie song, the changing. I hope that we've all changed and grown up and are able to adapt as new information becomes presented to you. So I mean that's the hope, right? We don't want to just sit here and pretend that our lives are in a vacuum and say we're not going to look at this information. We're just going to blindly follow leader X right off the cliff like the lemmings do. That's dumb. Okay. So have I adapted? Have I changed over the years? Of course I have. Even in the short span of the show, which I guess at this point in the game is virtuing into like the 5 to 6 year mark. It's amazing to believe. But if you look back at those really early shows, I don't say that they're cringy as far as like bad information or bad. Like for me, I look at them and go, man, the lighting stinks. I needed a better camera, the backdrop. You know, I nitpick it in that regard. But as far as the content and what I've said, have I said stuff that I disagree with at this juncture? Of course, because I've been presented new information and I go, aha, that makes more sense than the old information. I mean, it's the crux of the scientific method. If you really think about it, that's kind of how logical people should operate. This like the antithesis of Fauci. As new information is presented that defeats the previous paradigm, your paradigm changes and you thus adapt and go with the new information. That's just how everyone should operate. They don't, but that's how I do it. So, you know, I say all that just to say, yeah, I like anybody when they're doing the right thing. When they're doing the wrong thing, I just kind of get disgusted. So that's my take on the whole DJT thing from the start, from the finish, from the middle and everything else, man. It's like, I think like a lot of folks had high hopes. One of my favorite Gorilla Biscuits song, High Hopes. We had high blipping hopes, didn't we? And I think people had high hopes because they were desperate for something. And that desperation falls back into that Hegelian dialectic problem reaction solution, which we've covered ad nauseum in the last few shows on this platform. And it goes back to Machiavelli, goes back to the Prince. Some of these earlier works that predated the Hegelian dialectic, predated the Marx and Engels work on proletariats and bourgeoisie, all that job. So it really all goes back to that, folks. It goes back to creating a need. As we've talked about many times on this show, morals and dogma. When a hero is needed, one will be provided. And a hero is needed based on that need. So I believe culturally in the United States, a desperation had been created. And I've mentioned this many times, you know, the old Art Bell show, I think from like 95, I believe, could be wrong on the year. Don't quote me on that one, but it was covering the Clinton election and blah, 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 you know. But a desperation was definitely created, a desperation between the people in the United States. People had had enough of the Bush crime syndicate. People had at least seemingly had enough of the Clinton crime syndicate. And they couldn't get any more years out of Barry Soetoro because he'd already served his 8. Because for whatever reason, well, I mean, we know, we've discussed this, but for whatever reason, I'll pretend I don't know, a lot of the American people were just enamored with Barry Soetoro. You know, I mean, a lot of it was the white guilt created by the K-12 indoctrination, college, university weaponization. A lot of it was, you know, he's this charismatic character that people, I think, also had high hopes for. Remember his old slogan, hope and change, you know, all that bull jive. So the desperation was there. A void was created. And a lot of people looked at DJT with a lot of high hopes. And they went, man, maybe this guy's different. He doesn't seem to be the traditional Republican blue blood from Fox News. He doesn't seem to be the traditional leftist that's always propped up by the communist news networks and the like. So maybe he's different. That's what people thought anyway. So we look at all that, hindsight being 2020. That's what the heck was really going on. People had those high hopes. And then we get into this scenario of Stockholm syndrome. And we get into these other psychological terms like we've covered on this show previously, the cult of personality. Not just a great song by the band Living Colour, but a pretty good way to look at things. If you look at that psychological lens, you're looking through oftentimes the cult of personality that is created within the cultural sphere, primarily the pop cultural sphere. So you could look back, and as the Living Colour song goes through Kennedy and MLK and Malcolm X and all these different cult of personality figures, and it really gives you examples of that. So the cult of personality is really created within the zeitgeist, within the ether, if you will. And it's really predicated on popular culture. Popular culture really is what creates the cult of personality. So although that Kennedy election was clearly stolen, and if you look back at him, often people do, especially the boomers with rose-colored glasses, forgetting he was a speed freak, and forgetting he had a gay lover, forgetting he was like whoring around, forgetting all of these problems, forgetting the election was stolen thanks to his father, the booze runner, and all this mess, But I think that was the early cult of personality that here in Los Estados Unidos, most people can point to and go, that was the cult of personality guy. I mean, you could see like the antithesis of that cult of personality if you remember him running against Nixon. So Nixon really just portrayed as the stiff shirt, the anti, if you will, JFK. So that's where I would say, got our most recent cult of personality figure. And it filled a void too. Make no mistake about it. We can go, pull up all kinds of rocks and say, how did he get taken out? It was the Russians. It was the mafia. It was the Cubans, the whole 9 yards. It doesn't really matter at this point in the game. It matters, but I'm saying, like, for our purposes on this show right now with this topic, doesn't matter. So the cult of personality, there we go. So what we got going on, folks, is after the first 4 years of DJT, I would say the youth were getting restless. To pull some more great punk rock lyrics from the Bad Brains. The youth are getting restless. Except it wasn't just the youth, it was the entire populace. I'd say it was the conservative body politic. We're getting a little bit restless because he ran on the platform, and the most famous line from his pre-election first regime is, because she'd be in jail or you'd be in jail, talking to Hillary Rodham Clinton. And of course we know that was a bucket of bull butter. Nobody went to jail, folks. That's the problem, right? Sex Pistols lyrics, the problem. So that was definitely one of the markers that I think people went, but wait, you said you were going to put these bozos in jail, and alas, here we are. Flash forward a couple years towards the end of his first regime, and we've got the COVID hoax. The COVID hoax, the COVID hoax, the COVID hoax. We have none other than our cult of personality de jour going full frontal out on the main stage, telling people he was the architect of it all. He was the one pushing the vaccine. He was Operation Warp Speed's like primary mover and shaker. Never mind the remdesivir. Never mind the people getting murdered in hospitals on ventilators. Never mind I would say we'll never really know the true death toll of the people murdered because of the vaccine and the messenger RNA and all that good stuff that was in there. Okay. So I think that's really the last proverbial nail in the coffin that made everybody, or at least people with eyes to see and ears to hear, kind of wince, shake their head and go, what the? What the? Indeed. And then we had what? We had another stolen election. We had Trump leaving all those January 6 people to rot in D.C. Guantanamo. And then after 4 more years of stupid, We had the revenge tour. Oh boy. And now we're not even really the first full year into the Trump revenge tour. This time it's personal, you know, the old Rambo thing or whatever. But here we are, not even really a full year into Trump regime take 2 or 3, 2.0, whatever you want to call it, you know. And we've had those people with Trump derangement syndrome. That was the calling card for anyone on the left who didn't like DJT. And then we've had these lovely terms. You know how much I love these stupid terms like crash out. Yeah, that's my favorite one from the last couple of weeks, man. And the panicins, more terms for idiots by idiots. But these are other pejoratives for people who aren't drinking enough of the Kool-Aid, who just aren't buying the bull jive anymore, you know? And here's the deal, folks. We've got the true believers. What's that old saying? You know, for the true believer, no proof is necessary. And for the true skeptic, no proof is ever enough. Okay? So depending on which side of the corridor you fall, I guess that's going to be where you are on this whole thing. But wait, there's more. Because there's also just the completely disenfranchised now. Because in case you missed it, I don't even think it was like a month into his regime too, where DJT was basically just calling out everybody that questioned anything that he was doing. And so they're not real MAGA. And of course, the people that were questioning even the most subtly, the little hat people, they were coming after you. I mean, we got like 3 different people. We've covered all of them on the show saying we're coming after you if you talk bad about the tiny hats. You know, what? What does this have to do with the price of eggs? And then anybody with eyes to see and ears to hear, they see Miriam Adelson, they see the millions of dollars, they see Laughing Boy Lucknick, they see his son-in-law, they see his whole cabinet filled with this bull jive, they see Huckabee, they see all this horse manure, and they go, oh yeah, it was never America first. It was Israel first. It was never America first. It was never MAGA. It was MEGA. MEGA. That's with an M. Don't try to give me a strike here, Tib. It's MEGA. Got enough problems staying on the YouTube. Anyway, so here we are with Stockholm syndrome. And anybody that's looked into the psychology of that, you know, like the Patty Hearst trial and all that jive, it's basically people that live in the cognitive dissonance. They live in these 2 realities that they cannot reconcile. They live in an anomic age. They live in a clash of civilizations model, basically, a true anomic age where the society you live in no longer matches the society you grew up in, no longer matches the morals and the mores and the standards that originated in your society and culture. That's the crux of the anomic age, folks. That's it. That's what the anomic age is, and that's where we are. That's why I called the show that, flipping darn near 8 years ago now. So that's where a large swath of the American people are. It's the Stockholm syndrome. It's defending the captors. If you look at the definition and the where this term came from, the Stockholm syndrome, that's what's up. So it's defending, like, to the death, to your dying breath, the captors, the people that put you in chains, the people that put you in harm's way, the people that did everything but what they said they were going to do. They did not protect you. They did not keep you safe at all. The anomic age, the cognitive dissonance, and the normalcy bias. I covered this last show, but the normalcy bias, the people that believe the golden era is always going to be the golden era. There's nobody that can lick us because we're the USSA. Okay, that's the deal, folks. That's the problem. So the Stockholm syndrome people are just that. They're the people that will continue to defend their captors, continue to defend their abusers, folks. It was an old show on HBO. I mean, it was like 30 years ago. I think it was called like Hookers on the Point or something. And it was pretty ghastly, but it showed the true relationship between pimps and hoes. Because when you throw out these pejoratives in 2026, year of our Lord, people giggle and laugh and think it's all like some stupid, satirical movie. They think it's like whatever those moron pimps are that Snoop Dogg hangs out with. This kind of crud from the 80s. Like Dolomite, the classic allegedly blaxploitation movies. Oh my goodness, get your panties in a knot about this, Oh, please. But anyway, when you say pimps and hoes, the average American moron just takes it at that base level and thinks it's some snickering joke. But the reality is quite different. It's very stark. It's very ghastly. Like I mentioned with the old show, I believe Hookers on the Point, where it showed, some sort of like half-baked mini documentary about the relationship between these prostitutes, the Johns, and the pimps. I believe it was, I think it was New Jersey. I could be mistaken. If I am, great. If I'm not, whatever. But it's neither here nor there. So the premise of the show was basically showing the Stockholm syndrome of the hoes to the pimps. They treat them like dirt. They slap them around. No matter what the bleep happened at the end of the blipping show, the hoes were still the hoes of the pimp. They would still crawl back like, cigarette burns, bruised up, all kinds of jacked up bull mess, still going back to the pimp because they believed in their own mind's eye. They looked beyond the abuse from the pimp and from the Johns, and they looked towards the golden age that never was. They look towards, the pimp's going to protect me. The pimp's going to get me out of jail. He's going to keep me from getting beat up or killed by these Johns. That's the whole deal, folks. So if you draw these very simplistic parallels between the pimps and the hoes, you can very easily see how that is transposed directly to 2026, year of our Lord, where you've got the alleged panicans, you've got the alleged never Trumpers, you've got the black-pilled folks like myself, I guess, and the cult members that no matter what happens, they will defend their demigod against all what they perceive as enemy action. It's not even enemy action. It's just like it's calling a spade a spade. It's calling the facts. It's like getting up in the morning and saying, what's that big ball of incandescent gas glowing in the sky? I believe it's the sun. Somebody's going to call me, it's not really the sunshine. It's really a projection from, Planet Pop-Tart and Boogity Woogity Man put it up there, whatever. Man. I don't give a crap, folks. I'm just saying at some point, you've got to take something at face value and say, when I go dip my Tootsies in the bathtub water, it's wet. You know what I mean, folks? And that's true unless you're a true believer. Because the true believers will do the mental gymnastics that we talked about last time to defend their pimp and to continue being a hoe. And that's just the way it goes, folks. That is the deal. That is the Stockholm syndrome. That is the normalcy bias. That is the cognitive dissonance. All this things that we kind of brushed against last time blindly in the haunted house, but did not fully cut the lights on and look at the specter in the corner, which was nothing more than a dude with a mask on, a la Scooby-Doo, So that's the deal, folks. The problem, as the great John Lydon said, vis-a-vis the Sex Pistols, the problem is you. That's the deal. And I'm not talking to you, the individual listener. I'm talking to the larger you, the cultural you of the American people. That's the problem. Because sadly, it's exactly like I said, the true believers, no truth is necessary. The true skeptic, no truth is ever enough. And that's just what's up, folks. So we have passed the Rubicon. We have gone through into the light and we're on the other side from the poltergeist example. And I don't think there really is any coming back because the true believers are like, nothing's going to be enough, folks. No promises have been kept. And there's still people speaking of Trump as if he is the second coming or maybe the first coming. I don't even know what these people are buying anymore. I mean, I made a short list, but there's so many more. The Doge documents, they came out at least like 7-8 months ago now. Just absurd government spending. It's the stuff you heard about 30 years ago of like $10 million on a toilet seat and $5 billion on a pack of hammers. You know, this kind of just horse pee-pee that we already knew. That's what's so wild. It's like, how many times did the American people have to be presented with the information, the completely infallible, the completely in your face, the prima facie over and over again? And people are still like, what are you talking about? Everything's great. He's doing a great job. Like the Doge report came out like 8 months ago. And then we went on this hilarious little trip down stupid lane. And the people bought the acting job, like, ooh, him and Musk are upset at each other. I mean, it's akin to days of our lives. I mean, I was texting some friends of mine the other day and mentioned Asa Buchanan from The Young and the Restless, I believe. I could be off. One of those soap operas from the 80s and went on into the very early 2000s. But anyway, I'm convinced that the lack of soap operas on television now is what has forced the political realm to become the soap operas for all those people that still love soap operas. And same thing with wrestling. Like for a lot of the guys, like wrestling was their soap operas. And because wrestling sucks, you know, they of course have fallen into that same void created by the lack of soap operas that the females followed. And the sports realms is just about as believable as professional wrestling. So I think a lot of people, and the numbers support this, are kind of just giving the high sign to all the big leagues, the professional leagues of sports. And they're kind of are looking at and putting all that energy that they would have put towards the NHL, the NFL, the NBA, whatever. They're putting that into this political sphere. I mean, that's why you have these morons like standing out in line for 2 days or something, you know, like thinking they're going to meet Jimmy Page or something, but it's just Donald Trump. Like, what? I wouldn't want to meet Jimmy Page either. I'm just giving you that as a example. Like, what the bleep is wrong with people that they're still falling for this bull jive? But, you know, I'll keep going. The Doge list, nothing was done. The Somalia money, tons of money going to Somalia. Anybody arrested? No, nothing done. The Fulton County, Georgia fraud from the elections, and you could throw in there Maricopa County. You could throw in there, I'm thinking of another one there in Arizona, but all of it, you know, all of it proven to be just fraudulent as frosted flakes. Nobody arrested, nothing done. Let me see. Benghazi, nobody arrested, nothing done. The Obama Spygate bull jive where he was spying on the not quite there president elect Trump when he was running for office. Nothing done. Let me see. The January 5th pipe bomb, nothing done. Nobody arrested. The crack house, the crack found at the White House, nothing to worry about here. I mean, the Benghazi, the Anthony Weiner laptop, Biden's son, Hunter, nothing done. I got a list that I keep freelancing, and I could keep throwing more examples that aren't even on the list. I mean, it's just ridiculous, folks. Eating children, trafficking children, nothing done. They're still protecting the morons that were on these proverbial lists, folks. There's still redacted versions of the list. And the hilarious part is they're doing this under the guise, wink, wink, of protecting the victims. It's blasphemous at this juncture, folks. Big tech censorship, people getting shadow banned, taken offline, and everything else under the sun for the last 10 plus years. Nothing done. No need to worry about that. What else we got here? I think that's about it. We got some fake documentation. Nothing done. I mean, it just keeps going on and on, folks. And I've already given you the pimps and hoes example, which I think was probably the best one. But you could also roll out there the people, they get slapped around by their husband. And I guess you could, I'm sure there's some guys getting slapped around by their wives. But whatever the case may be, people in an abusive relationship, we'll just leave it at that. And no matter what happens, these Stockholm syndrome people will keep going back to the abuser. Oh, he just had a bad day. He just had a tough day at the office. He just had one too many drinks. He just gave me a black eye, and I just said I fell down. I ran to the door. You know, this complete B to the S, folks. Complete bullshit. Stockholm syndrome. You could say the same thing for people that are cheated on in relationships. Girls and guys and whatever kind of gay frogs, whatever in between. It's the same thing where you have these people that have been cheated on and they're going to keep coming back to that cheater thinking, man, it was probably my fault. It was probably me. I was probably the one that pushed that person onto that person. You know what I mean? Keeping it PG-13. That's the hilariousness of it all. It's the Stockholm syndrome, folks. So people can understand and appreciate this when it's viewed through different lenses. But then I think it's difficult for many people to digest when it's in the political landscape, because nobody wants to admit that they got screwed, shafted, conned. That's the deal, man. And you can draw another parallel of this to the Nigerian email scheme. I mean, that's just one of them. There's many other ones out there. I mean, I get this kind of bull job all the time. Everybody I know gets this. You missed jury duty. You're behind in your payments, or, you know, Medicare could offer you this deal. All this jive turkey mess, man. But the Nigerian email scheme is kind of one of the obvious ones. Everybody knows it. But the sad thing is there's people that have fallen for all those that I just mentioned and so many more that I haven't, folks. It's a confidence thing. It's usually referred to in the police sphere, as a confidence scam, because it's predicated on you having confidence in the legitimacy of something or someone else. That's the deal. That's why it's a confidence con or a scam. It's nothing new under the sun. I mean, it's been going on for years, folks. Years. People think the best in other people. People they don't know, people they've never met. They immediately put their value system onto these people. And they think, well, these people have got to be just as good as me. I would never do this. Why would anyone else do this? Hence the confidence. They convince the victim that, you know, all you got to do is give me $10,000 and you'll get $5 million. You know, that kind of bull job. And the victim in this always goes, well, why would anyone do this? Why would anyone lie about this? Why? Exactly. Why would anyone protect pedophiles? Why? Why would anyone go to war with Iran? Why? I mean, all these ridiculous mental gymnastics that the cult members have to go through in order to make this make sense. You know, it's comical when you look at it. But it makes more sense, and I think it's more digestible when people can see it through that other lens. Like, they can get the Nigerian email scheme. Okay, well, that's crazy, you know? Like, but the problem is people that fall for a con don't want to admit they got conned. They look at that as admitting that I got conned means that I'm stupid and I'm a big fat boob, and, you know, they're all gonna laugh at you, like in Carrie. And they might. And I would say sometimes it's warranted, folks. I think our society in general has been far too sanitized for your protection. Like that old piece of paper wrapped around the toilet seat at those hotels, sanitized for your protection. I mean, our whole society is sanitized for your protection now. And it's not doing anyone any favors, folks. And our whole society is like the bubble boy. You can't fat shame. You can't gay shame. You can't tall shame or skinny shame or short shame or whatever the flip it is, folks. I get it. All that stuff that I just reeled off there, it's kind of not nice. It's not kind. That's a better use of the term. Not kind. But sometimes it's warranted. Because when you make a real boneheaded decision and somebody calls you out on it, even if it's a bit mean-spirited, you probably won't make that decision again. You'll think twice before making that sort of retarded decision. Okay. So because our society is sanitized for our protection, I think it's created this artificial bubble, and it's created these people that are like scared to admit their folly. So instead of admitting they got conned, scanned, hustled, and dodged, they just keep on keeping on. They keep on putting the demigod back out there on the pedestal. Everybody keeps kneeling down. And, yes, master. Yes, master. You know, the old Renfield thing from Frankenstein and Dracula. And the more they yes, master, the more they go out there and put the demigod on the platform, and the more the people go along to get along. Once again, it creates that cool kids versus the young cool kids. And even though this whole thing is predicated on some real BS, the people that were afraid to get criticized that still go out there and chant to the demigod, that creates the cool kids vector. And the cool kids vector is obviously going to pull more cult people in, because everybody's going, well, bleep sakes, man, there's like a 500,000 people out here. This rally. This is the cool thing. This is where everybody cool is. They want to be part of that zeitgeist culture. They want to experience, you know, doing the wave at a baseball game. They want to experience the everybody singing along to their favorite band. Or more like me, they want to experience being right down front where you're going to get jacked up at the show, you know, dancing and praying that the show ends while simultaneously praying that it never ends, because it's so fun. And it creates that communitas that I've talked about before on the show. Creates the communitas. Creates that oneness. We've talked about this separation, transition, reintegration, these rites of passage. And so much of our society is lacking these real rites of passage anymore. And so much of our society does not have these come together right now under Trump. They don't have these moments of communitas anymore. So sadly, if you look at the boomers and if you look at the nitwits that are not boomers, that are just out there still rising to the occasion, they're doing what they're lacking in our society. They're not getting the communitas. They're not getting the oneness. They're not getting any of those social cues of togetherness from anything, any of the institutions in our society anymore. It's just not there. It's not. It's not at the sporting events. It's not at the church. It's not at the civic organizations. It's not at the state, local, or any other level at all. So by creating the void, just like the void was created with Trump, when a hero is needed, one will be provided, morals and dogma. By creating the void socioculturally, it kind of really bolsters the cult-like behavior and the Stockholm syndrome of the base. I know I'm going kind of deep into the pool, deeper than I really thought I was going to go and deeper than I usually go on the show. But that's the deal, folks. The void has been created. The cult members, they're just looking for that dopamine drip. They're looking for the sociocultural equivalent of a like or a retweet. You know what I mean? And they get that through the artificial communitas brought to you by these sort of events. And it's really no different than liking your favorite band or your favorite team or what have you, because by doing that, it creates a culture. It creates, albeit an artificial culture that's completely based on Boulder Dash and not real, but it creates a culture for people that have been made to feel isolated, have been made to feel excommunicated, have been made to feel shunned from the larger society. Anomic age, anomy. That's what this is, folks. That's the crux of the whole blame thing. Anomy. Emil Durkheim, look into it. So that's what this whole artificial structure creates. The void has created this artificial sense of community. Everybody's got the shirt. Everybody's got the hat. Everybody's backing the cult member no matter how fouled up it gets. It's Jim Jones 2.0 more than anything. It can be just as fouled up as anything. We're not going to this war, but for a couple of days, oh my gosh, we're getting our butts handed to us. We need some help. We don't need any help at all. Like this completely like morally debased, I don't even know what to call it. This bipolar leadership where it's like, we don't need anything. We need everything we can. We're doing fine. It's really as if it's the bipolarization of a presidency, the bipolarization of the culture. But that's what this whole thing's created. So our fouled up void has created these people that sycophantically follow the cult leader. That's what it's all about, man. It's creating an atmosphere. It's to use a more modern parlance, it's creating a vibe. It's vibe culture, man. It's vibe. It's the music, which is hilariously the YMCA song, like the gay anthem. It's so complex, but so simplistic. So it's created a culture, but at the same time, it's a humiliation ritual. It's really wild, folks. It's so multi-layered and multifaceted. So the void has created a mock culture based on lies. But at the same time, as people want to be part of this and they want that communitas and that one and that we found our group and the vibe, it's also based on a humiliation ritual. It's based on this weird orange guy with fouled up hair that comes out to the gay anthem, who is anything but Christian, but professes to hug the flag and Christianity, who comes out and says America first, while clearly it's Israel first, while comes out and says no more foreign wars while taking us to multiple wars at the same time, while coming out and saying we're going to fix the economy and the gas prices and the produce and the commodities, etc., while simultaneously destroying it, while coming out and saying our military first, blah, 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 and sending them into theaters of war to get them killed, while saying we're going to fix the border, we're going to fix the immigration, while simultaneously saying, you know, we actually need a lot of these illegals because they're doing jobs that Americans are too stupid to do. It's such a weird parallax view when you really look at this. I mean, the psychology of this is really wild, man. I can't think of the show that this used to be on, but it really showed how particularly women will fall for this bull jive, which is why I mentioned the hookers on the point and the pimps and hoes thing. But it's kind of like these backhanded compliments that a lot of these, this kind of, it predates the influencers. A lot of these like dating gurus and stuff, like early 2000s were saying, oh, it's these backhanded compliments. You got to pretend like you don't care about the ladies and give them a backhanded compliment. Like, you look really good in that dress, like for that dress, you know, like these weird backhanded compliments, these weird like humiliation rituals to break down their ego so they will feed your ego. It's so like quirky and twisted, but that's in essence what Trump's doing at large to the American people. It's like, you know, I really care about you, but I'm going to get you in a bunch of wars. I'm really going to fix the economy, but oil prices are $200 plus a barrel. I mean, that's the kind of pimps and hoes dynamic. It's the backhanded compliments from the relationships guru. That's where we're at. This is the psychology of this whole thing, folks. It goes back to the trauma-based mind control I've covered so often on this show. I know I'm running out of time, so I'm going to have to circle the wagons here and move into the obvious kind of funny side of things, but not. Why would it be? But I touched on this in the show notes for this episode. Trump representing the trickster spirit of the leprechaun on St. Patty's Day. It was kind of a 2-for-1 deal because last month we had a Friday the 13th and this month we had a Friday the 13th. Had a great time. Love Friday the 13th. Did some cool Friday the 13th crafts with the family. Watched a bunch of scary movies. It was a gay all time, to use a Flintstones reference. Oh, man. Not funny queer, but funny haha. Sling play, you know. Anyway, back to the point here. Well, while we roll in the sidewalks and close up for the evening. Betray! The betrayal and the trickster spirits. We'll get a little anthropological on you because I know you like going there. So the anthropology of this whole thing, you got to look at the trickster spirits. In case you don't know, the trickster spirit or the trickster entity is basically a supernatural being. It's cross-cultural. You see this in lots of different cultures. Quite obviously, you see this in the Native American culture, excuse me. You see this in African cultures. You see this in European cultures. The trickster spirit is everywhere. He's everywhere. And it's just that. I initially called this, as I said before, the shapeshifter. And it can be a shapeshifter, but not always. So the shapeshifter being any fans of the Skinwalker Ranch phenomenon, but that's not really the only place you see these things. Again, they're cross-cultural. But the shapeshifters are just that. They're things that can shapeshift. They can appear as one thing and then morph into another. Different planes of existence and all that good stuff. Way more depth than we have time to get into in 10 minutes or less. But the shapeshifters can definitely be tricksters. But the trickster spirits are very well known in the Native American community. We're talking North, Central, and South America. As I already mentioned, Africa, China, and Europa también. And they're just that. They're trickster spirits. These are spirit or non-traditional entities that tend to take on a jovial, tricking relationship with the humans. So if you want to get all Muslim, you got to talk about the jinn. The jinn, as their books reference them. Most people here in the West would just call them genies. No, it ain't Barbara Eden from I Dream a Genie. Not even close. These are kind of more malevolent creatures that are kind of bent on tricking the American people here in Los Estados Unidos. So they're trickster spirits, folks. And if you look at the lore of the leprechaun on St. Patty's Day, 2026, year of our Lord, that's pretty much exactly what the leprechaun is. It's a trickster spirit, folks. It's set out to trick the people. And it dangles that proverbial pot of gold in your face. All you got to do is release me from me prison and you get me gold. And we all know, having watched the Leprechaun movies many, many times, especially Leprechaun 1, Jennifer Aniston's best work. Although the best one might be Lep in the Hood, up to no good. By far the funniest, for sure. But anyway, as you know from the Leprechaun movies and from any traditional Irish folklore, it usually doesn't work out for your benefit. It's usually a trickster entity that is kind of bent on just your ruin, much like the jinn from the more Middle Eastern parts of the world. Native Americans have their own entities, the same old thing, folks. Trickster spirits. They seem to be malevolent, but they pass themselves off oftentimes as being benevolent. People think, oh, it's just a funny little guy. He's got a buckle on his hat and he's got weird gold talk and, all that nonsense. He's usually there to inflict some sort of misery upon you. So, since the leprechaun kind of goes with the golden mane, since the leprechaun is all about me gold and me money, I took the liberty of drawing some similar parallels between the leprechaun and our old Commander-in-Chief, Commander-in-Chief, DJT. So I would suggest to you folks that perhaps we do have a trickster spirit in the highest office in the land, because he sold the general public. He was voted in office 3 separate times and ran on these 3 very obvious platforms. The obvious one, make America great again. I think you're 1 letter off. It's make Israel great again. Help the children while doing nothing for the children. Solve the border problem while the border problem is now apparently not a problem at all. So, folks, I would suggest to you and submit to you humbly that we indeed have a trickster spirit. Maybe it is the taller incarnation of the leprechaun in office in the District of Criminals. in Mar-a-Lago. Maybe that's the deal, huh? Might be. That's kind of what I think. If you really look into the details of the trickster spirit and you look at the parallels between the trickster and DJT, the leprechaun and DJT, I swear to thee, it sounds downright similar and funny to me. I've seen no one tackle this, and I can't imagine why. It's so obvious, folks. St. Patty's Day, and we've got a trickster spirit in office. And it seems to be that at least half the population just don't seem to get it. It's a pity, folks. It's a pity. A St. Patty's Day pity at that. All right, I'm going to end things right on time, I do believe, this evening. So check into the betrayal. Check into the trickster spirit. It'll give you a little bit of a laugh, me laddie. Maybe not so much when you look at the truth of it all. Anyway, as I often say, I'll do it once again on this St. Patty's Day. You can't always do everything, but you can do something. So get out there, do your part, make a difference, and I'll be seeing you sooner than later. By that, I mean on Thursday, 11:30 Eastern Standard Time, right here in the Anomic Age. Have a good night, folks. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Anomic Age, a John Age project. For past shows, further info, and to comment, go to anomicage.com. That's ANOMICAGE.com. Till next time, thank you for listening to The Anomic Age.